At only $5 a pair, these Sound Percussion Lab sticks are definitely the cheapest I've bought in a long time. But are they like the hardware where they're inexpensive but decent? Or are these just too cheap to be worth it? Let's really dig into all aspects of the build quality on these today, including straightness, pitch and weight matching, and how they compare to other manufacturers. Sound Percussion, they offer these sticks as individual pairs, but also in 4-pack bundles, which will save you even more money. This individual pair, when I picked this up, it was $7 for one pair. That's about half the price that Vic Firth is selling their 5As at right now. This 4-pack sold for $20. That ends up being $5 a pair. Again, that ends up being about half of the price of Vic Firth's 4-pack. These are even cheaper than Vater's Goodwood brand of sticks, which, pun intended, are not very good. Now, while most manufacturers list a lot of detail about the sticks on their website, Sound Percussion Labs lists almost nothing about these sticks other than that they're made in the USA and that they're made out of hickory. Even their stick sleeves provide no additional information and seem mainly concerned with making sure I don't file any sort of legal claim against them. Now, right off the bat, I saw a lot of inconsistencies between the sticks that came as that multi-stick bundle and the pairs that I got individually. The 4-pack, those sticks came with, it looks like an acorn style tip, similar to what you would see on the Vic Firths, but these tips seem to be much larger than the Vic Firth version. On the back side of the stick, you can see that the butt is rounded over. The individual pairs of sticks, though, you'll see that instead on those, the butt is flattened off. And the tips are also different. These are more of an oval style. That's what you would see on, say, Promark or on the Vater Los Angeles. In fact, I find that these sticks are eerily similar to the Vater Los Angeles in almost every aspect. Some other differences I saw was that the printing on the sticks was different between the individual pairs and the bundles, and the printing on the backside of the boxes was different as well. Thankfully, though, I did find at least one consistent thing across these different sticks, and that is the length. They all measured out to be 16 inches long. That's pretty consistent across different manufacturers as well. Now, since the manufacturer didn't list what the diameter is supposed to be, I had to take out my vernia and actually measure them. There was some variation on the diameter on these sticks. I don't know if that's consistent with other manufacturers as well. I've never measured the diameter on Vic Firth's or Promark, so take this with a grain of salt. For the bundle sticks, the diameter varied between 0.558 and 0.577. That's 0.02 of an inch variation. And for the individual sticks, those ranged from 0.564 and 0.578. That's about 15 thousandths of an inch variation. So how does that compare? Well, your Vic Firth 5As, those are usually 0.565, and your Vater Los Angeles are 0.570. I would say these sticks have a medium taper. That's just because how they look compared to the Los Angeles Vaters. They also have some sort of lacquer applied to them. That's pretty typical. I couldn't tell really any difference in the lacquer across the different sticks. Now, the various differences in these sticks is leading me to one of two conclusions. One, that Sound Percussion Labs is not actually manufacturing their own sticks, that instead they're just buying maybe seconds from different manufacturers, or maybe different lines from the same manufacturer, and that's how come there's some differences in the manufacturing of the sticks. Or it could be that Sound Percussion Labs do make their own sticks and they've changed their manufacturing recently, and that I just happen to get an old lot on one order and a new lot on a different order. If you go to order sticks, who knows how old the stock or the inventory is from the retailer when you get the sticks, so it might be hard to know what you're gonna get. Okay, so we know there's a lot of inconsistencies in the builds, but what about the build quality? That's what we're gonna check next. We're gonna see how well they're weight matched and how straight they are. We're gonna start with rolling the two individual pairs, and then we'll move on to the 4-pack bundle. So of the two sticks in this pair, this one is worse. Neither one of them is, this one's not exactly great, but this one is definitely worse. I have a decent amount of rocking here. And if you look here, you can see that this part of the stick, there's a lot of motion. And you can hear kind of the unevenness. It's like dun, 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 as it's moving. The tips on these sticks aren't great. There's a lot of unevenness in it. And it has me worried if I were to start to play on this, how long it would take for it to actually chip. So let's move on to the second pair and see if it's any better. Okay, so maybe this one is maybe comparable to the less bad stick on the first pair, but this stick is definitely the worst of the bunch so far. There is so much motion. There's so much rocking. If I am pushing back on near the butt side here, I can see all of this light basically coming in underneath this part of the stick. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of rocking, and you can see and hear how bad the straightness on the stick is. This one, as bad as this stick is, the tip isn't too bad. This tip is actually kind of bad still. The bundle sticks, which we're moving on to now, have a completely different tip, maybe a different manufacturer, we don't know. But let's see if these fare any better. So this is pair number 3 now. So for straightness, I mean, this is not I can see some light here, so it's not good. It's not great. Less light than that other stick I was looking at. Still a good amount of rocking. Similar story here. Maybe not quite as bad as this stick. The tips on these are significantly better. Let's move on to the fourth pair to take a look at. Yeah, this one here, a lot of rocking. When I push on the back end here, I can see a lot of light, a lot of motion. This one's not quite as bad. The tips look okay on it. Pair number 5. This might be the worst one of the bunch so far as straightness is concerned. Yeah, if I can start to see, if I rotate it 180 degrees from where it rocks, I can see the light come in from the middle now because of how the stick is bowed. This one, yeah, when it's like this, I can see light underneath here. Not as bowed because when I rotate it, I don't see light like that. But there's still a lot of unevenness in it. Tip quality seems to be consistent amongst the acorns. So for this final pair here, this might be the least bad of the bunch. This one is not exactly good though. Still a decent amount of rocking on it. The tips on these are okay. Okay, so as far as straightness is concerned, I'd say none of the pairs were actually any good. They all had at least one stick that had quite a good amount of bowing going on. That's regardless of which batch of sticks I was dealing with. Now, as far as the tips are concerned, at least on these acorns, these were actually fine. I am quite concerned about the oval tips, the ones that looked like the Vater Los Angeles, because those looked like they were already pretty uneven on the tips. So let's find out now how long it's going to take for these sticks to chip. I'm going to grab a pair of the acorns and a pair of the ovals, and we'll see how many hours I can get out of them. For the oval tips, I used pair number 1 from the roll test, and I got about 18 hours out of it before it chipped. Now, considering how bad of a condition the tips were before I started, I suppose 18 hours isn't too bad, but usually with oval tips, I would expect north of 30 hours. Note that I did use the same stick in the same hand over the course of that 18-hour experiment. For the acorn tips, I went with pair number 6 from the roll test. This actually fared much better, and I got 31 hours out of it. You can see it actually split before the tip chipped. 31 hours is actually not too bad for an acorn tip. Usually with a Vic Firth, I would start to see the tip chip before then. Although to be fair, the size acorn on these sound percussion sticks are much larger than what you see on a Vic Firth. Next, we're going to check the pitch matching on the remaining 4 pairs, and we'll also see how they sound compared to the Vater Los Angeles, Promark, Ford weighted, and the typical Vic Firths. So my general thoughts are that these sticks are just too cheap to be worth it. Definitely if you're not playing any shows with these or doing studio work, then maybe they could be worth it if you're looking for just for some beater sticks. Even then, you don't know what kind of life you're going to get out of them, and maybe you're just having to buy sticks twice as fast because they're dying twice as fast. The real deal breaker for me, of course, is that I don't like when there's a lack of consistency on the style of stick that I'm going to get. And so that is my reason why I'm going to stay away from the Sound Percussion sticks down the road. I am reviewing drum gear all the time, so if you don't want to miss out, hit subscribe right here or down below. And while you're waiting, check out this video.